Hey everybody, it's Mary Kelly, and thank you so much again for being part of the Wednesday webinars and virtual programs. So today I am very excited to be joined by the amazing Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and he just came out with a new book called A Mind for Sales. Now here's what's very tough right now for a lot of leaders, and Mark, I know you are seeing this. Do we sell or do we not sell when the world is just so uncertain and there's so much fear and frustration and people are feeling lost and confused? And I want to talk to you just really quickly, give a quick preamble about what you talk about in A Mind for Sales. And then I want to set our leaders up for some of the questions I think they should be asking. And then I want to turn it over to you. So Mark, what do you think leaders should be doing right now?
Sure. Thank you for having me on. First of all, leaders need to get out in front and be selling to their people. In other words, you have to give your people confidence in themselves and confidence to be speaking to customers. The business of business is people. And that's really the reason I wrote the book, A Mind for Sales, because sales really isn't about a product. It's not about even a process. It's about people. People have to be able to communicate with one another. That's the essence of sales. That's the essence of business. And that is exactly why I wrote the book, A Mind for Sales.
And the book really touches on the fact that this is about making connections with people, providing solutions when people really need solutions right now.
That is so spot on, because more than ever right now, you need connections. You need to have those conversations. So when I hear, people say, oh, we're not selling right now. Boy, I'll tell you what, you need to be out there selling, because what is selling? Selling is about relationships. Selling is about helping people see and achieve what they didn't think was possible. That's what sales is about. Your goal is to help others.
I completely agree. Our job is really the people business, and it's helping people. And this is why I think it's so important that we discuss this idea that as leaders, we have to be leading our sales teams through this process. We can't be sitting on the sidelines. We can't be wringing our hands. We can't be bemoaning the fact that things weren't like they were in 2019. We've got to be getting out ahead of this. And right now I'm so excited, Mark, because you and I and Sam Richter and Meredith Elliott Powell are all working on a white paper to send out to our leaders. So if you're listening to this right now, we want you to know that we have identified 6 areas of opportunities where we think, again, leaders need to be out ahead of this. And we have put this together in a fairly comprehensive white paper that should come out before the 1st of July, 2020. And that is to help our leaders move forward. And part of that is making sure that we as leaders are looking at that, in my mind, just some 10 areas that we've got to be focused on right now. And part of that is new requirements and new regulations. And part of me, Mark, as you know, we're back on the road. We're traveling. We're meeting with clients. We're going places. Things have never been cleaner. My hotel room is spotless. I don't worry about touching things. Because things are being cleaned. I find this fantastic. And we do need new advancements. For 10 years, we had this amazing economic boom. And only 25% of companies inside the United States at the start of January 2020 had more cash on hand than debt. And I'm thinking, well, gosh, some of that is a tax strategy, but also if you weren't making money for this last 10-year period when the economy was booming, what were you doing? You were maybe doing status quo. You were maybe doing okay. You were maybe doing all right, but you weren't necessarily advancing. And this opportunity right now is forced advancement. And this includes new technologies. How do we take technology and apply it toward what it is we're doing right now? And especially if you're selling new technology, Mark, talk to us about this right now. You're seeing companies that are selling new technology just booming.
Well, it is. And I'm going to share an example. I just came from a breakfast where I met with the CEO of a healthcare company. And he is a supplier to about 350 hospitals throughout the Midwest. And it was very interesting. But as the CEO, he said, I'm spending 20 to 25% of my time on the telephone, just networking and talking with other key leaders in the industry because things are moving so fast. The protocol that a hospital was using last week has been changed because now there's a different protocol. There are new technologies. And he says it is moving so fast. It is creating so many opportunities, but what the challenge is staying ahead of it. And this is where I think where you're going with this is so spot on. But he's spending 25% of his day just talking with thought leaders because he knows his customers, the hospital groups that he works with, that his sales team works with. They're coming to them looking for answers. So he says, I got to have answers for them.
That's right.
That's
right.
Exactly what we're doing.
And it may not be necessarily brand new technology, but it's new uses for current technology. You know, several years ago, we all thought all training was going to be by avatars. And I love my avatar because she's super skinny and she can fly. I thought that was awesome. And VR is a great opportunity for doing training as well, but we have to be thinking about how we are using technology in new ways. Now, we all know work life has shifted. And I'm kind of fond of mentioning this because there was a time when I was in the Navy that I thought, wow, when you're out to sea, by the way, there is no distinction between your personal life and your professional life. You're wearing your uniform every time you're awake. There's no days off. You know, a ship in the middle of the ocean just doesn't stop on Friday afternoons because it's happy hour. I know, crazy idea. But it's interesting to me of how many people suddenly found themselves in this place where their professional life has now been blended with their personal life. And in some ways, that's an advantage when you're in sales because guess what? You don't have to worry about time zones. You don't have to worry about certain other things that, oh, I'll work that in when I get to the office. No, you can wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before the kids are awake, before you start homeschooling, before you start breakfast, grab your coffee and start making phone calls before the family gets up. And that may be better for your clients in Europe. You know, we've got this blurring now. And this is the question I always love to ask, and I think you articulate this so well in the book, A Mind for Sales. And that is, what problem are you solving for other people? And as we get into things like more 3D printing, we've got high school kids who know how to design stuff for 3D printing, and they are creating solutions right now. We've got to be focusing, I think, when we pick up that phone and we talk to other people, you know, what problem do they have and what problem can we solve? And then I love asking the question, what businesses right now are doing really, really well? Well, obviously, the big box stores for hardware and home improvements, they are doing great. Furniture stores are selling furniture because people are now sitting around their house saying, you know what? My couch is 13 years old. Maybe it's time I get a new couch. You know, that couch that the kids grew up on, the dog threw up on. I mean, maybe it's time we get a new couch. So they're doing very well. Obviously, anything that delivers is doing very, very well. And anything that deals in the cleaning world, janitorial service, again, all these companies thought about how they can provide solutions at a time when people need a solution. I'm fond of saying, you know, you don't really need a dentist when your tooth doesn't hurt, but boy, when your tooth hurts, that's when you need the dentist. So how do we help those people who most need help right now? And then what are our customers thinking? In the white paper that we're all working on, we all asked our CEOs, our CFOs, our COOs, and our HR directors, you know, what are your people thinking? What's happening with your business right now? And we're trying to get inside our clients' heads, but they're also trying to get inside their customers' heads and try to figure out what it is they're thinking and how we can alleviate some of the stress, the frustrations, the fear, the anxiety, and solve those problems. So then this gets to where you come in, Mark. You know, what are we thinking about selling? And then uncertainty. And this is where it is all yours. Uncertainty. Mark, I'm looking at the phone. I don't want the rejection. I don't want people to think I'm being needy or desperate or you know, I don't really want to be rejected. Do I make the call? Oh gosh, did I whine enough to make it sound convincing to you?
Well, so many things have changed here that you have to remember. Uncertainty, believe me, you think you have uncertainty, the person you're calling has uncertainty. You know, we think about this. We go back a couple months ago, and this WFH, work from home. Now, think about this from a sales perspective. If you're in sales, many times, in many industries, you worked with a professional buyer, procurement department, those types of things. Now, those were people who really, they knew exactly what was on the left-hand side of their desk, and they moved it to the right-hand side of the desk. They were control people who knew their world. Suddenly, they're working from the kitchen table.
Yes.
You know, see, WFH became BFH, buying from home. Okay, now we're past that now. Okay, many businesses have reopened, they've gone backward. But here's the whole thing. Uncertainty remains. Uncertainty remains. If anybody can sit here and tell me, well, how is the academic year going to unfold with certainty? I don't think anybody can. You see, so what does this mean? This means everybody has to have conditional plans in place. Now, think about this from a sales perspective. Think about this from what you can bring to your customer. You see, your customer is looking more than ever for insights. Now, oh, I can't call them because I don't have all the insights. No, it's okay. Nobody has all the insights. Think about what we knew about COVID-19 back in January and February and what we know today. It's tremendous amount more information, okay? See, so don't sit there, and yet we looked at people in January and February as being the experts because they were the experts to their time, to their knowledge base. This is the way you want to come across to your customers right now. You're the knowledge expert, but it's only based off the knowledge that you have. Don't sweat bullets. My objective, and this is what I tell every salesperson when I'm calling right now, my objective more than anything is to learn one new piece of information from a customer. I can learn one. Think about this for a moment. If I can make 10 phone calls and we'll say I get a couple conversations. Now, let's not kid ourselves. More people are answering the phone today than have ever answered in years because things have been disrupted. So if I can just get 2 conversations and if I can just learn 2 pieces of information, does that help me be more intelligent with my next phone call? You see, knowledge has a compounded effect. We've seen this with COVID-19. The information we learned early on, some of those were hypotheses, and okay, that didn't hold up, but then this holds up. And what does it do? It makes us smarter all along the way. Okay, so now stop and ask yourself this question. What is your customer buying? Your customer, and same thing with your employees. Your employees are not buying, they want to buy 8 hours of work. No, they don't. They want to buy the outcome from 8 hours of work. They want to buy the income. They want to buy the job satisfaction. Your customers want to buy from you, not what you have to sell. They want to buy the outcome. You see, this is where we have to be focused.
I think that's a really good point. I want to jump on that for just a second because one of my CEOs, I've been working with him and his company for a couple of years. He said, now is not the time when I want to go out and find new people with whom to do business with. He said, I want to rely on the people I know, I believe, I trust, and I want them to be the people giving me the solutions.
I'm going to play both sides of that coin.
Okay.
I'm doubling down on my existing customers. I'm doubling down on the people who have trusted me because you're right. I want to maximize and I want to help them the most. But here's the other piece that I'm telling people. Every buying decision has been thrown up in the air. If you stop and think about this, companies, we'll just use the example of toilet paper. Remember when toilet paper was this, oh, wow, there's no toilet paper. Okay, so now I'm a commercial business. We'll say I'm a manufacturing place. And I've been normally buying my paper goods from some paper wholesaler. Well, for 2.5 months, we were shut down. Now suddenly we reopen. And I'm thinking, should I place the order with that company or should I look at somebody else?
Oh,
you
good
see,
point.
what's so interesting is every buying decision has the ability to be relooked at. Again, every time I talk with somebody, a business owner, a CEO, a leader, I ask them, what are the lessons you've learned from COVID? And they sit there and say, you know what? We've learned a lot of different ways to do business.
Great
To
point.
me, that creates opportunity. I'm telling my clients, prospect, 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 because there are opportunities out there that will never come around again. But they're right there right now.
I think you're right about that because there are some businesses that you would think during this whole time who would really step up and do well, and some of them have not. And they have failed in miserable ways. And you wonder, there's a there's a restaurant that's pretty close to my house. And of course, during this whole time, they said they were going to do takeout. And of course, I want my local businesses to do well. So I've done my very best to try to patronize them. And I tried 3 times and it was awful every time. The food was terrible. It came out cold. The order was wrong another time. The third time, the person who was trying to help us was so angry and miserable and rude. And this is a place that's 3 miles from my house. I'm there every week. And I thought, wow, they are not doing this well. And I think that's just a microcosm or just a small example of exactly what you're talking about right now, is that if businesses don't do this well, people will look for other opportunities.
They will. This is, again, let's look at personal income. And I saw another statistic, and you're the economist, so you probably know these numbers right off the top of your head. But it's amazing how the savings rate has actually gone up right now.
It has.
And people are not spending money because there's no place to spend it. So
personal income actually went up in the month of April by almost 14% because more people were making more money on unemployment than they were while they were working. And they didn't need clothes for work, so they weren't buying clothes. Retail was down, healthcare was down because elective surgeries are down. Okay. So you're right. People are saving more money.
So we got cash here, which eventually is going to find a home. It's going to be spent somewhere. Where's it going to be spent? Now, this is in B2C, but let's look at this from B2B. If I'm B2B, capital expenditures, how do I project it? Depending on the industry I'm in, I may say, I don't know where my industry's going. Or I may say, you know what? Interest rates have never been lower. The availability of cash has never been greater. I literally was just online looking at a company that I believe is going to announce their IPO tomorrow.
Oh.
Now that's very interesting. They're going to do an IPO tomorrow. And what are they doing? Because the market is suddenly right for this particular industry. You see, there are opportunities out there, but you got to look. Hey, point 8 that you had, I believe, what are your customers? Think about this for a moment. You can't just look at your customers. You have to look at your customer's customer.
Right.
This is one of the big things I'm challenging people more and more. Look, the supply chain has been the big buzzword. Everybody's supply chain is disrupted. We saw this with Detroit. We've seen this with healthcare. We've seen this with so many different things. I don't care who you are. You have to look at not only your supply chain, but look at your supply chain from your customer's perspective. And who are your customers? Who do they sell to? Who do they sell to? Who do they, keep working it all the way down. Here's a very simple, basic concept. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to use Cheerios. Cheerios, the cereal that literally,
that we all like to eat out of Ziploc bags. And
right. Every kid eats it. Mm-hmm. Every kid eats it. Now, here's the whole thing. If you think about the supply chain of Cheerios, okay? So there are oats and so forth that are produced into Cheerios, made by General Mills, which then has to sell it to a retailer. And I don't care who it is. That may be everything from Safeway to Kroger to Amazon to Whole Foods, whatever. And so that's one sale. But then the next sale is to probably the person who's buying it. And for years, Cheerios used the tagline, Mom approved, kids liked, or something like that. You see, because Mom didn't eat the Cheerios. They knew that, but see, who was the retailer selling to? The retailer had to sell to Mom, see? And then ultimately it got consumed by the kid. Probably the baby under 3 years of age out of the Ziploc bag. Yeah, right. So, got to understand the whole supply chain. And
that's such a great example. And I'm so glad you raised that, because you're right. Because Cheerios makes commercials for their consumers, but also for the B2B. And the B's have to buy it before the C's can buy it. And I think it's something that we all need to be so cognizant of. That's such a great example.
We lose sight of this all the way. And again, I'm going to run back to health. There are so many things that have failed in the healthcare industry because it was the right thing, but the patient freaked out over it. See, you think about dog food. Is dog food purchased because it's liked by the dog? No, it's because the master thinks the dog is going to like it.
So this is where your wife and I kind of agree. You know, we want our dogs to eat filet mignon, perfectly cooked vegetables, and brown rice pureed with sweet potatoes and
Right.
supplemented by nutritional other things and and meanwhile, you know, we're eating McDonald's through the drive-in.
No, see, this is where you have to understand. You have to understand who is the decision maker, who owns the decision, who's going to implement the decision, who's going to benefit from the decision. And again, in sales, many times this gets lost because we're trying to just sell a product.
I think that's so true. So really quickly, we just got a couple minutes left, Mark, and thank you so much again for your time today. What do sales people, the teams, what do the people need to know? And then I want you to tell me, what do sales leaders need to know? And that basically, what do sales teams need to understand right now?
What sales teams need to understand right now, it is about the speed of the communication. I got to simplify my message. I have to simplify. I have to make it as simple and as easy for my customers to do business with me. I'm not going to get hung up in selling the major complex solution. I'm going to make it very easy for you. That is what the salesperson has to do. What does the sales leader have to do? Sales leader has to do two things. One, provide my sales team with the insights, just like I shared with you the example of the CEO, spending time gathering information, sharing with the sales team. What does that do? That allows your sales team to be more confident. And that's ultimately what you are doing as a sales leader. You got to take this information, move it down. That's the first thing. The second thing you need to be doing is you need to be supporting your sales team by being able to help them close deals as rapidly as possible. What does this mean? You've got to clear out the underbrush. There's one measurement that really stands out. That's CFT, customer facing time. As a leader, you need to get all this other stuff off the plate so your salespeople can spend as much time, CFT, customer facing time. And this is either on the telephone with them, on Zoom, it may be in person, however it might be an email they're crafting, it may be something, but it's CFT. That is underlying what you got to do.
I think that's huge because on the leadership side, you know, our job as leaders anyway is to get rid of the obstacles that get in people's way. And I remember having one boss, a new boss came in and he was like my third in one of my Navy jobs. And he said, "So what can I do to support you?" And I said, "Boss, just please don't be an obstacle. Please stay out of my way while I'm trying to do a good job for you." And this is where I think leaders sometimes get hung up on certain bureaucratic process, maybe a hierarchy issue or an impediment that they don't oftentimes realize is an impediment to their teams doing a really good job.
They don't realize it because they're trying to use the people to help them do their job. And see,
that's a great point.
Your job as a leader is to help your people do their job, not to have them help you do your job. And that's a flip of the thinking.
I totally agree. You know, I'm fond of using the upside down pyramid. So it's not like this, you're at the top, you're actually at the bottom. And with you at the bottom, that means your job is to support your direct reports so they can support their internal customers, so they can support the external customers, so that you can make sure you're delivering great value. You actually work for your people. And I love that you said it in a slightly different way, exactly that with the sales teams.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. So Mark, tell us a little bit about where people can find your new book called A Mind for Sales and where they can find you.
Well, A Mind for Sales can be found in bookstores if happen to be open, or of course go out to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, whatever, but A Mind for Sales. And right now, yeah, people are grabbing it. You know, people have said, "How did you write the book so fast?" Because they said, "You wrote this book just for this situation we're in right now." No, I wrote it a year ago. Just timing worked out great. But you can also learn more about me by going to my website, thesaleshunter.com. And yes, you know, my last name has been Hunter my whole life. People always ask me, "What was your name before you changed it?" No, it's always been The Sales Hunter.
That actually worked out pretty well for you, Mark.
It worked. I really thank my dad for that. Worked out well. Yes.
Well, Mark, I really thank you for being with me today and helping our folks stay focused on their end user customers as well as the businesses who help the customers in the process. And thank you so much. Folks, again, this is Mary Kelly and with the amazing Mark Hunter, who is thesaleshunter.com. Thanks a lot.
Great selling.